What's your views around player-led practice compared to coach-led practice?
It's pretty simple. I think for me, when the guys take the field, the coach is left behind, and the guys have got to do it for themselves out there. So when we're practicing, I think it's imperative that the guys are put under pressure. They're put in scenarios, so that hopefully when they go on the pitch, they can put what they've learned, and that they can go out and produce the goods out there. So it's the old case of practice hard and play easy. Yeah, so I think basically if we can challenge the players as much, but as well as putting them under pressure, you can see the guys who when pressure comes out in the middle, they will perform.
How important is player learning, and also how important is it that players take responsibility for their own development?
Yeah, I think it's very important, and as you go up, certainly at senior international level and A-team level, under 19s even, it's crucial. You're always trying to get the player to understand what he's doing, and whether that's a feel thing or whether he wants to look at some video and work things out for himself, with a little bit of shunting maybe in the right direction at times. But ultimately, if the player learns and takes responsibility for his own game, I think he's going to be a better player for it, and that message will be a lot stronger. So even in terms of analysis, then what we do at the senior level, the players will do some homework themselves, come to the meeting, have to present on certain players they're going to face, and then we'll go through videos and summarise what they've just said, hopefully in a brief movie of a player's strengths and weaknesses, and that tends to empower the player even more, because they're reassured in what they've already gone through is the right thing.
Do you manage players in a similar way, or is it very much individualised based on on different players?
Very, very much individualised. I think we have a good understanding of who our players are and how they like to work. Sometimes in a camp environment, players will have to sort of toe in with the team and follow a structure. But there's always a lot of time in one-on-ones and throughout the winter to tailor practice as the player wants. His specific sort of type of training that he likes to do. Whether like a Paul Sterling might like to do technical work a lot, so a lot of drop feeds, underarms, and that would be his preference to netting, let's say. So it's trying to find that balance where a player gets to do what he likes to do best, and also that'll help us get the best out of him.
How important is it for players to take responsibility for their own learning and development as a coach?
Yeah, I think it's really important that they do that. I think as coaches you can often try and lead a player on how you feel they should play the game, and how you foresee it, maybe the way you've been brought up yourself. I think it's really important that they do take ownership of their game, and when you're coaching them, they're obviously the centre of that. So the way that they best play and they go out there and learn is you're trying to basically tee them up, to tap into themselves to find out how they tick, how they work best when they're out in the middle under pressure, and then getting them to go away and working at their games under that sort of environment. So everyone's different, and obviously it's very important that players do take ownership for their games.
What's your understanding about player-centred, and why do you think coaches should really consider the player before they start to intervene as a coach?
Well, I think we're probably seeing a bit of a shift in coach education, coach development a little bit, and certainly over the last few years since I've personally been involved, the value of delivering generic sessions, it's okay, you can get to a certain point, but as any educator would know, any teacher would know, anybody who's interested in other people would know, one size just does not fit all in whatever field you're in. And I think we can all remember the times where we felt a little bit isolated or frustrated within a session or a classroom or wherever, and it just hasn't really flicked our switch, it hasn't really done it for us. And talking about player-centred learning, it's all about the coach being aware of who's in the room with them, who's on the field with them, and what makes them tick, what do they want out of the session, what are they there for. Some players just want to turn up and have a great time, and that's exactly what you then as a coach need to deliver. But other players might be a little bit more serious about it, and that's where they get their enjoyment from. So I suppose as a coach, it's absolutely fundamental that everything we do is player-centred and involves them in everything that we as coaches try and do.
How important is it for players to take responsibility for their own fitness and their own development?
It's absolutely vital. At the elite level, athletes can't get away with it if they're not fit or well conditioned. One of the biggest things we try to ingrain in the players is that it's your responsibility, you're accountable for your fitness. We've set fitness parameters in place, we've set fitness minimum standards in place for the senior national team. If players don't meet those standards, we're not going to be asking questions. Our head coach is going to be asking questions of those athletes. I would stress that it's a slow process, but you need to be consistent with the message to players. Okay, you can't one day say, okay, fitness isn't a big deal, and then the next day say it is a big deal. Since I've been involved with Cricket Ireland, we have said from day one, we want our athletes to be as well conditioned as the English lads, as the Australian lads, South African lads. We need to put ourselves on that same level in terms of fitness and fielding. We mightn't have the best batters or bowlers in the world, or the depth of talent, but we will have the fittest athletes. So I would say players have to be accountable. I would say we have to get, always the best example I would say is get your biggest and better players or best players on board very, very early. And if they can lead by example, then the younger players are always going to buy into that. If we give an example of someone like Trent Johnson or John Mooney or so, they're lads who are performing year in, year out, and they're physically fit. If a young 13-year-old can see that and understand the importance of that, then whenever they get to the senior team, they're already seriously well conditioned.
Why is it that player learning is important?
Player learning, yeah, well I think that's key, because I think players learn in different ways. Some people listen to coaches and listen endlessly. Some players will watch a lot of cricket on TV or club cricket, and watch players perform, especially bowlers, and try and copy their actions. But I think the key for me is sort of kinesthetic learning, actually by repetitive drills right through the winter, hitting tennis balls time and time again, under supervision of a coach. That results in a change of behaviour from, say, a September period to the March period, where they've actually improved their game through the